Hello, 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 and this is Sammy from the Samatized Podcast. How you guys doing tonight? Figured I'd just come out and check out and see how everyone's doing. Basically, happy 4th of July, and it's just me tonight. My daughter's out cruising around with her partner, and they'll be home soon. But until then, basically, it's just you and I. Figured there's some stuff we could talk about. Little couple weird things over the weekend, um, things that we did, and other things that people have I've been watching online. And one of the things was this guy with this shockwave semi truck. I thought it was kind of crazy. Basically, uh, he um, he was racing two airplanes, which doesn't already make sense. But the three jet engine semi truck that can be capable of doing like 300 miles per hour, kind of a little on the over the top, but I could see doing I could see his why he's doing it. And basically yeah, he is definitely well, needless to say, things didn't shit didn't go right. And and it exploded right before the end where the pleasure of the fireworks at the end, where he's supposed to run through them. Well, his truck tires blew up beforehand and went out of control and basically died. So God bless that guy and hope that his family's okay and all that kind of good stuff. But it's a sad thing, but it's just kind of an oddball thing. It's just, but from what I understand, the guy died doing what he loved, and I get that. I get that a lot. So hopefully he died happy. So, well, he probably wasn't too happy while he was toasting in that damn thing, but sad. But anyway, all right. But that's the what we'll start off at. Just a couple other things. I watched a couple races this weekend. The Sarasota Offshore Grand Prix was down here in Sarasota, over by my neck of the woods, and my wife's really into boats and stuff, so she basically had me going out checking them out. And what the company that I work for actually has a or had a boat in the race pretty much every year for the longest time. But I'm not sure if they have one yet or still or not. I think it might have gotten wrecked. I'm not sure, or maybe we stopped sponsoring it. Who knows? But basically, we were checking out the races, and there was you know a couple a couple weird named boats out there, and it's just hilarious because these guys that are doing the televising online. It's on this this news channel that's telling you about everything that's going on. Um, it seemed like they were supposed to tell the names of the boats, or if it was sponsored by a company, so they would get the advertisement out there. And I forgot the name. I think it was like liquor slit or something like that was the name of one of the boats. And I'm just I was just laughing because this guy's going, liquor slit's coming from the back, and he's making it towards the top now. He's coming up front. He's coming up front, and I'm like, really, really. I mean, he goes, liquor slit's got, he's moving forward. He's moving forward. He's passing him. He's moving forward, and I'm like, oh my god, this. It's like the guy named his boat this just so he could take it out on these broadcasters. Oh, and by the way, if you hear anything in the background, it is 4th of July. Firecrackers are going off, and it's like an explosion from hell outside. It's like damn, like we're in the Ukraine right now outside, people with some serious ammo. And I swear that they do this just to compete with each other. I mean, I don't go to the fireworks displays because I don't need to. In my neighborhood, we basically have things going on continuously throughout the 4th of July weekend. You just go out in the front yard and smoke a stogie or sit there and drink a drink and whatever you're into and sit back and watch the show because they're all competing against each other. I swear. I mean, the house is shaking. It's like smoke is going around. You swear you're right in the middle of a war zone, which it's kind of funny because it brings me to issue I have my dog, and my dog has this thing about explosions and the blasts and you know basically thunder and whatever else. And so every year when things get crazy, we have to go down to the thing. It's like, okay, it's like going to the veterinarian. It's like going to the drug dealer with this damn dog. It's like, we got to go get him his fix so he can be zapped out of his gourd for the freaking weekend. And it's just kind of funny because he'll you have to trick him and put it in his food and everything else. And so after he eats it, it's kind of like just you know what do you call it? He just sits there and it's like about 20 minutes later, he's like Mr. Vegetation for a while. I don't know what happened tonight. He ate his full meal and he is still lively and bouncing around and panting and everything else. Feel bad for the poor thing. But anyway, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So we were going through some of the news today, and I'm just, I don't know if it's me or not, but it, I mean, I love, I'm a gun guy. I have lots of guns, that are my own, but they're not, I mean, they're locked up, they're protected, they're everything, family knows what to do with the weapon. They're not, curious. And I have an 18-year-old. She's not curious. She knows when and where and how and why, and they're all locked up and everything else, which is fine. I mean, they don't need to be touching them. And this gun debate thing is ridiculous, right? Well, as of late. But this weekend, what has gone on with everybody? I mean, I went and looked at the news, and there's like a shooting in one area and another shooting in another. And I'm a firm gun toting individual. I have a concealed weapons permit. I protect myself, I protect my family. The wife does the same. She has her own gun permit, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, if they wanted to raise the bar to 21 or whatever, I don't even understand why they didn't do that a long time ago for rifles and things of that nature. Um, but maybe you can put in the comments what you think of that when we put this out on the as a video. If you listen to this and you think if I love to know what you think about the the gun laws and what we should do and what we shouldn't do. I really have a hard time with the government controlling things though at the same time, because it's like, the government just has this thing about overcompensating, and everything seems to have a loophole. So if they can make it towards them in 99 chances out of 10, unless you're fighting them, it never goes. And they never, if they take some away from us, they never ever has there been a time where they've given it back. And that's what I'm kind of concerned about myself, is the giving back piece. But I'd like to know what you think about the situation with guns. I mean, how you would handle it. I think, honestly, I have an 18-year-old, and I know for a fact they shouldn't have a gun. Um, she's I love her to death, but she's a wild one. You'll meet her sooner or later here on the podcast, and you'll understand. You know, yeah, 18. I just don't think they're mature enough to understand what the gun's about. And if you look at a lot of these things that have been happening, it's mostly happening with people that are under the age of 21 anyway. I mean, even if they went to 25 on it, it'd still be fine with me. Not because I'm over 25, but because I knew when I was growing up, I had no business with a gun before age of 25, and you know, we all had our little wild and crazy time in our lives. And I tell stories on our podcast about some of our wild and crazy times. And you know a lot of that stuff you can't do these days. And there was a little girl that dumped water on a threw water at a McDonald's employee and got shot over the weekend. I'm like, by a 17-year-old boy. Why? What's the point of that? It's like, what happened to when we were kids? When I was growing up, I'm Generation X, I guess they call it. What happened to those days when you had people that they just, if they got mad at each other, they took it outside. You want to go at it, go at it. Go punch each other in the head a couple of times until you get it out of your system. Or whoever wins, or whoever feels equal is equal. When we had a battle with each other, we didn't go out and start whipping out ammo and pistols or rifles or whatever the case may be. We took it outside. What happened to those days? Probably the same thing that happened when you lose a game or a football game or whatever when you're a kid. You didn't have a participation trophy either. And I really, I think that's what needs to come back. I was listening to another podcast, Bubba Love Sponge, and he had this theory that basically it was we call it the hand sanitizer era, when hand sanitizer and helicopter moms, basically somebody that hovers over their kid all the time. When that started is when things happened. I mean, when we were growing up, it's like, hey, yeah, go ahead and stick your finger in that light socket. Go ahead and pull that. We'd have a TV on a friggin' TV tray. And back then, they weren't LCD TVs. There was those big CRT things that were ginormous. And yeah, it's like, go ahead and knock that over and let it fall on you one time. You won't do it again. It's like, that's how your parents used to be. And if you got in trouble, you got your ass whipped. Just the way it was. It sounds like a horrible time, but it really wasn't. But at the same time, social media was going over to your friend's house and get all your buddies together and hanging out for a while. Even if you were 17 or 18 and accidentally stepped into your, you know, mom or dad's liquor cabinet, that wouldn't happen anywhere around here. But not condoning that. But back then, that was like the worst thing that you did. And if you smoked weed, man, you were hardcore. But these kids are just doing all sorts of crazy stuff now. I'd love to know what you think of that. Comment about it. Tell me what you think. But those old days, those were some of the better days. You know you and you worked for a living. I mean, hell, when we were growing up, there was a time where we didn't have a lot of money, and I walked down to a bicycle shop down the street and started talking to the guy, and he gave me a couple dollars to sweep the floors in the shop. Every day we lived on the island, and there'd be sand that would come into the shop when they'd rent these bicycles. And that I grew up in that I grew up in that bicycle shop. I learned the value of a dollar. You went out and you worked for it. You went out and bought what you needed. But I won't sit on a soapbox tonight. But what happened to those days? Happened to going down and making an effort. You didn't have mom and dad take you to your job or anything. No, you went out and worked. That's what freedom's all about. Learning how to work and becoming free on your own, whether it's buying a bicycle, riding a bike, driving your first car that you bought. Even if your parents even helped you pay for it, that's cool. But go out and work at it. Go and work and do your job, do something with your life. It's like, it's so amazing how much better you feel when you do something in that aspect. I don't understand why kids don't do that these days. It's like, work is just a whole nother thing. It's like, and everybody thinks that they should make $15 and plus an hour. Well, you know what happened when we started doing that? Now everything costs twice as much. Sounded great at the time, but you know what? It isn't happening. It isn't helping anything. It just made things more damn expensive because you know what? If you have to pay the lady at McDonald's $15 an hour that sits at the drive-through, now that cheeseburger, that Big Mac's just going to be more money. They're not going to lose money over it. No, they're going to pass it along to you just like they do everybody else. But at the same time, you just got to get your effort in and just say, hey, this is the way it is. But the problem is these people like me and other ones that didn't ask for the $15 an hour, they're making more than $15 an hour, which I gotta say, I worked hard in my life. I learned things from school. I went to school. I learned how to do things, and guess what? At that point, I make a good living for myself. But what kills me is that now we have people that are making this extra money, and now the guys that are working hard like we are don't make money that we don't get that super raise like they got from like $7 or $8 an hour to 15. Nobody's giving us $7 or $8 extra an hour. No, nobody is. And basically because of that, there's no, you know, all everybody that's out there that's been working trying to pay for their family just can't do it. But enough being on the soapbox tonight, is but just thought it was kind of fun that we were able to sit back and talk about a few things. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Please, please, please feel free to go ahead and put in the comments on the video when it gets sent out. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Do you have another idea about the gun situation? Do you have another idea for the money situation? What do you have that, I mean, it just seems like everything's kind of going a little bit crazy right now, and we just need to know how to fix it. But other than that, I don't want to talk about all the negative things in life. We spent 17 minutes now, almost 18, talking about negative about you know the old days. Well, let's talk about some of the old days. Let's talk about a story or two. Like I remember when I was first coming in, I worked for this large company, and I worked in their executive office. And basically, the owner of the company was out there, and he was basically talking. He's saying, "Hey, I need to get my dog from Tampa." And they're rich people, of course. It's a multi billion-dollar company, and they're like, and so I'm sitting there. I'm like, sure, I'll go get your dog for you, but I don't have the money to go over the bridge. I was a young guy, just starting off. Like, I don't have money to go over the bridge, and my car won't fit, your dog into it. He's like, oh, that's fine. I'll give you my credit card, and I'll give you my new brand new Mercedes SUV. Go over there, fill it up with gas, do whatever you need to do, and pay for things, and go from there. So, so basically, I guess my daughter's home. I can hear her yelling in the background over here. I apologize for that if you hear it. But anyway, so back to the story here. So anyway, the big cheese of the company hands me his credit card, and he tells me go get his dog. I guess it was getting flown in because he was a big hunter, and the dog was basically a pup, and they took the dog in, and was training it on how to help him when he's out hunting. And so, long story short, it was in like Kansas or something to that effect. And it landed. They landed in a cage over down at uh, Tampa International Airport, which is about, I don't know, about 2 hours away from where I live. So I'm taking the SUV. I'm having a good time. I got his brand new SUV. Got sun roof open. I got his gold card here, America Express. Let's don't leave home without it. And he's I'm going to go ahead and pick up the dog. So with that being said, I go out and pick up this dog, get in the back of the SUV, and he told me that the first thing you need to do is you need to walk the dog around, even if it's right there in the back of the airport. And this is before 9/11, so security was a lot more lax than it is now. So I walked the dog around. And he says, "Now you need to go in, but you also need to give it water, so it has some water while on your trip back to Bradenton." So long story short, I go over and right across from the Tampa pickup area where you pick up the your animal or your big packages that are coming on planes. There's a little gas station sitting there. So I was like, okay. And back in the day, it wasn't like it is today where you can just go in and buy a dollar item and run your card and walk away. Well, you back then you had to, they made you buy at least $5 worth of something. It didn't matter what it was, just had to be some $5 worth of something in the building. So, uh, you know, I'm a pretty honest guy, and I don't go out and I don't believe in using somebody's money unless they tell me. So I'm like, okay, water, fine. I'll buy myself a soda. I'll get a couple bottles of Avian water. It's expensive. It was like $2 and something back then. And we'll get this water. We'll get the dog some water. I got some beef jerky or something for a treat for the dog. I don't know what I was thinking. Spent like $10. Ran it on the card. Off we went. So basically, I get out to the back of this car, and there's this homeless guy sitting out there on the side of this place because there's a lot of homeless back behind the airport. And he's like, "Hey man," and I'm feeding him the water. He's like, "Hey man, what's up?" He goes, "Got a dollar?" I go, "No." He looks at me again and goes, "Come on, man, you got a dollar. Look at what you drive. Look what you got a freaking dog over there drinking avian water. I know how much that water is. That water is more than my beer. Oh man, all I want is a beer. So give me a dollar." I tell him, I said, "I don't have a dollar." And he's like, you cheap MFer. What the hell? I can't believe you. And he's sitting here cussing me out. So I'm like, dude, I walk around the corner. He's like freaking out. Shut the door on the back of the truck. And I'm like, dude, I'll go in and get you a 12 pack. I don't care. I got a card. Oh, F you, man. Now you want to make up for it. It's like, he just couldn't get it. It wasn't my card. It wasn't my money. It wasn't my dog. Hell, it wasn't my water. But it's just like, okay, whatever. And off I went. But yeah, it was just kind of a funny story because this guy's just like really pissed off at me because I won't give him a dollar. It's like, dude, I ain't got no dollars. But anyway, so got the dog back. Everything was good. And that was the end of that story. But yeah, so I just thought just like I said, thought I'd figure out, talk to you guys for a little bit. Samatized podcast, just getting used to everything, getting used to cameras and everything. So I appreciate you guys. If anybody that was listening, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. I could use a couple, subscriptions. I think everybody that's on there is somebody I know, unfortunately. So somebody new would be great. If you subscribe, please put your name in there. I'd love to know who the hell is subscribing. Um, it'd be awesome to know that I got some real people out there. But yeah, so thank you so much again. Like, subscribe, ring the bell because I'll be out here at least once, if not twice a week, on our podcast. And hopefully I get the family over here, and we'll get interacted into some of the other stuff that we do and talk about. It's a little easier to talk when there's more than one of you, and we'll go from there. All right. So thank you so much, and have a good night, and happy 4th of July. Peace.